Both Red Dead games are contenders for the best endings of all time, as so few games have the confidence to kill off their protagonist, as it signifies that this is the end of the character's story. We aren't going to rely on their highly marketable face for the sequel. We put our story above our marketing. But I feel as though Red Dead 1 has been overshadowed in many ways by its glorious sequel prequel, which makes sense. RDR 2 is the better game, but to me at least, we're still comparing a top 5 game of all time to a top 15 game of all time. So I want to talk about the one area in which Red Dead 1 completely outdid its sequel, the ending. Red Dead 1's ending has a few unfair advantages over Red Dead 2 that are worth mentioning, although I played 2 before 1, so I had no idea how 1 ended then. First of all, the game repeats killing the protagonist. While both games do this in a phenomenal send-off, this was unheard of at the time RDR 1 came out, and it's still relatively uncommon due to the reasons I stated earlier. Second of all is the lack of foreshadowing and the unexpectedness of the death. While many suspected that Arthur would perish at the end of 2, to explain why he's never brought up in 1, it's all but confirmed he'll die earlier in the game when he's diagnosed with tuberculosis. This is a death sentence for this era, and it gives the player time to process and accept that Arthur is going to pass on. What's impressive is that when he dies, it's still a highly impactful moment, even though we knew it was unavoidable. But with John, it's just so violent and unexpected. This isn't how the story was supposed to go. We beat the game. We redeemed ourselves by atoning for our sins, by erasing Dutch and the gang from the face of the earth, and now we get to go home. But none of us realize that the game foreshadows John's death at the earliest moment possible, because while yes, John did get his redemption, there are 2 other words in that title now, aren't there? It's also more faithful to the Western theme and styling for him to go out in a hail of bullets. I think overall, Red Dead 1 is far more of a Western than RDR 2 ever was. Rockstar has always loved to emulate films, but now with their unholy amounts of money from GTA 5, it seems that Rockstar's games have only focused on high-class storytelling. GTA 5, RDR 2, and GTA 6 are and look like premium products. They're the Oscars bait of video games. That's not to say they're generic or lacking in any way, but if you look at their previous games like the PS2 trilogy, Manhunt, Bully, GTA 4, and LA Noire, each game feels inspired by a certain genre of film, and that unique style is infused into the DNA of the game. While GTA 5 was their first attempt at a mass appeal Hollywood blockbuster, Red Dead 2 also felt like it had less personality and was more of a prestige film, and GTA 6 looks like a younger skewing version of GTA 5. Red Dead 1 is a Western through and through, reflected in its desolate world, cruel characters, and violent tendencies. John's story is that of a lone traveller trying to make his way back to his family, and in the harsh tropes of the West leaves him riddled with holes. It makes the player and his son angry that he dies in such an unfair way. Despite him going out like a hero, it still feels undeserved. However, by using genre tropes to subvert gaming tropes, Red Dead 1 is able to live up to the awfulness of the frontier while still feeling shocking and unexpected due to the medium. There's also the manner in which he goes out. He knows he's going to die when he walks out that door, and he knows he could stay behind and give his family more time to escape, but he's the one they want, and he knows what he has to do, and he's scared out of his mind, and it shows. But John isn't going to let that crippling fear hold him back. He confronts death with a calm and confident demeanor, swinging open the doors of the barn to fight, not distract. When you enter the Deadeye mode, the player genuinely thinks they're going to survive this, and have this epic cinematic moment of taking down all these agents. But the game cruelly and quickly rips that hope away from you right after giving it to you. It shocks the player when they not only fail, but can see that John is going to die from these bullets, as those had never killed us before. We're still in denial when we see him topple over. There's just no way they're going to kill off this character like that. Then we're smartly shoved right into the next stage of our grief, anger, when Ross strolls out from behind like a coward, smoking a cigar, giving us an outlet for our rage. Ultimately, Red Dead 1 killed its protagonist in a way that epitomized the character in one scene. He was a bad person who loved his family and would fight the whole world to keep them safe, even if he knew the risks he was going to take to protect the most important people to him. Meanwhile, Red Dead 2 shows us our character broken and beaten. This isn't the Arthur we played as. This is a man who lost everything he ever loved and dies knowing that despite failing to keep his family together, he saved John and his, and can still pass on peacefully. Both are phenomenal send-offs to some of the best characters ever written, but John's is more impactful to me because he dies the man we always knew he was, and that's how a true Western would end. I'll be back in 2 days. In the meantime, here's a video about how Ciri shouldn't be The Witcher 4's protagonist.